Florida punk rock gig to charge vaccinated people $18 a ticket and non-vaccinated people $1,000, but could fall foul to Governor DeSantis' strict anti-COVID passport laws. So let's read this real quick, see if we get any more information, then let's react. So a punk rock concert promoter says unvaccinated people will have to pay almost $1,000 to attend an upcoming gig, while those who have had their COVID shots will get in for just $18. Paul Williams has set an unusual ticket price structure for an upcoming gig in St. Petersburg, Florida, by punk band Teenage Bottle Rocket. Fans will have to provide proof of vaccination to get the cheaper tickets. Quote, we're just trying to do a show safely, and they should go out and get vaccinated to protect themselves and their families and their community, unquote, William told ABC of the potential concert goers. It seems like you're forcing your personal beliefs and opinions on other people. William said he wasn't sure he could legally bar unvaccinated patrons from the show, which is slated for June 26 at the St. Petersburg VFW post number 39. So instead, he came up with the unusual price tier. We're gonna let them in. We're not gonna out them, he said. Nobody's gonna know that they're the person that bought the ticket, and they'll be treated just like everyone else. There are 250 tickets available to vaccinated people for the St. Petersburg show, and four for unvaccinated concert goers. So far, Williams said there have been no unvaccinated takers. Yeah, because that's a ridiculously high price to attend. Okay. But by asking for proof of vaccination, Williams could be running afoul of an executive order signed in April by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, which prohibits businesses in the state from requiring patrons or customers to produce documentation that they have been vaccinated to gain access. Last paragraph, then let's talk about it. At the time, DeSantis said, quote, it's completely unacceptable for either the government or the private sector to impose upon you the requirement that you show proof of vaccine to just simply be able to participate in normal society, unquote. So,
can I
go for it?
Scroll up.
I mean, honestly, I don't have a problem with it. Like, to me, the vaccination issue is
none of them are teenagers.
It's not been ridiculous to me. That one statement where they're like, "Oh, you're being excluded from normal society because of vaccines." Dude, you need vaccines to go into public school. Like, you have already lived in this type of society where you need to be vaccinated to participate in normal society.
I mean,
So,
the difference,
to me,
though,
this
is
isn't different.
those are established vaccines that have been around for a while that have been, put through the ringer. This new vaccine, which people have I would argue, justifiable concerns about, which is a completely new vaccine, a completely new method of vaccination, and it's only in
people argue the same thing about the previous vaccines, so they cause like fucking autism and stuff like that. And it's just like, dude, you got to take the chance. Otherwise, like, if you want to live on the outskirts, then that's cool, do it.
But that argument for those vaccines, and those vaccines have been around for years.
They still say they cause autism and they give childbirth later and stuff like that.
That's why those arguments aren't as strong. That's why I agree with you on that stance. But in this stance, this vaccine is literally 5 months old, and it's a completely new way of vaccinating people. And now we're trying to adjust society to navigate in a way to.
Are we gonna not talk about the band?
It is scary. My only thing with it is that, like,
it just seems like a really what's the word? A fast. Just seems unnecessary. Like, the way we're trying to adapt and whatnot, it seems unnecessarily fast. Like, let it progress naturally. Like, if we want to incorporate this new vaccine into schools, as you use an example of, or traveling with airports, or even what they're trying to do when it comes to concerts, I don't necessarily disagree with it, because you're right. It's trying to be safe and keep everyone from getting sick and becoming infected. But the problem is using a level of, and this isn't government, but as DeSantis said, government, even the private sector, this soon seems really, really unnecessary. Like, you're doing it way too fast. It's almost getting to the point, and I do agree with this, you're forcing it on people. Let people naturally feel comfortable with it, and they'll do it. Right now, because of the speed and forcefulness of it, is making people more uncomfortable and enticing them, I would argue, entice them even more likely to not want to get it.
Well, there is, like, vaccine hesitancy, and so they're trying to combat it with it's essentially propaganda. Like,
exactly.
I saw it today on the bus where it was just like, get jabbed and, like, serve your community. And I was like, I was like, this is like Starship Troopers.
Come on. The
t-shirt,
come on.
The t-shirt I had.
So,
said,
but
like, I got
to me, it's not like
help my community.
It's not like join the war, do this. It's like, no, dude, like,
it's
beat
a similar,
the virus. Like,
it's a similar sentiment, though. It changed the word, join the war, join the community. because that's what the vaccinated people are becoming. They're becoming their own little community, and it sounds like a cult.
Y'all are killing me. Y'all are not really.
Okay, real quick, real quick, pause. Let's
hold on.
address the band real quick. John really wants to address the
They called
band.
them a teenage punk band first and foremost. Where is the teenager there? Then their name is Teenage Bottle Rocket. Do I have to look at the other two? Look at the last two members. Now, what do you think their name is talking about? Also, his T-shirt, does that say Peni?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
Rudimentary
I can't really tell. That one says
Yeah.
Def Leppard right there. This one is is that what it says? Rudimentary Peni.
That's what I thought it read too.
Is that a band?
Yeah.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't keep up with punk rock.
Me neither. And they're not going to even sell the 250 tickets. Like who is like? Come on, son.
No, I agree with you on that aspect. Like the fact that you even try to do this promotional strategy would actually prevent people from actually wanting to see your band. And
Come on, son.
I don't know if they're popular or not. If they are popular, like they probably won't have problems selling tickets. But if they aren't popular, like this is gonna really hamper y'all's ability to sell tickets.
But I'm saying off this picture alone, I can
man.
see why they would. I can
like,
see
bad
how they would
publicity.
be this liberal.
Well, I disagree because, like, punk rock, all this stuff, like, it's all, it's liberal at its core, and
But it's
the
liberal.
the conservative like view. We're in a weird time where like I feel like there are a lot of conservatives and like right-leaning people that live in the country, but they're suppressed in the mainstream, and so this is mainstream now.
Exactly. So it's not necessarily punk rock. That's exactly my argument.
Well, punk rock has always been liberal. The thing was
but it's
that
always
it
been
was
about pushing against the system, and this isn't pushing against the system. This is conforming to the system.
yeah. Things are a little wonky because before the right was on top and that was the majority.
least.
So punk rock was pushing against the system, but now we've turned the tables. At least in the mainstream,
punk country
according
now.
to like media and stuff like that. So this is mainstream. This is no longer against the system. This is the system. And it's weird. It's definitely inverted. But because I'm thinking of that in that way, most of their fans are probably vaccinated by now. So they're just going to get their regular show.
Oh, yeah, that's why I said, like, I don't know, like, you're right. Depending on the fan base, punk rock tends to lean more liberal. And like I said before, like, they're probably not going to have a problem selling tickets. I just feel like it was a unnecessary promotional stunt because when you do concerts, and correct me if I'm wrong here, you to grow your fan base, is it not?
100%.
I don't think by doing this you're going to grow your fan base. Instead, you're just going to stay neutral.
Well, actually, they might.
I don't see the growth
Just
here. If
depending
anything, you
on-
might lose fans.
Depending on if the populace
And
is
it
more
depends on
liberal.
their fan base. If they're all like, yeah, we're all vaccinated.
Well,
cool.
they have a
and they
well,
all
no.
show up and do their
My
thing.
point is they have a fan base. The fan base isn't going to change, but now by making this very
they're
clear,
ostracized part of it.
exactly, they ostracize any future fans they could potentially acquire,
Unvaccinated fans could just check their
or
Tinder
even
profiles.
conservative people who are vaccinated who don't like this very clear
True.
conforming, if that's the proper word to use in this. I don't think it is, but one that came to mind. But then another, I guess, to back up this conversation is even in the the Mariners, they now have a fully vaccinated fan sections and rewards. So if you're vaccinated and can prove you're vaccinated, they give you special privileges. I discounted got your vaccine, $10 or $20 seats and rewards are now available for fully vaccinated fans through June 2nd. You got exclusive access to the T-Mobile Pen and Trident decks, SAE Us Rise Marines t-shirts, 20% discount on food and beverages, and 20% discount on the Marines team store. It just seems, it goes back to the point I made earlier. If the goal is to make this more acceptable and more normalized, because like you said also, Doc, we already have something like this with other vaccines when it comes to schools and travel. Like, for example, when we went to school at Texas State, we had to get the whatever vaccine before we actually were able to go. Exactly. But the thing is, this vaccine is new. It's 5 months old. The fact that they are force-feeding it down our throats, at least in my opinion, in my perspective, is extremely uncomfortable and I would even say suspicious. Like, if you really want us to accept this and be okay with this, why are you trying to force it down my mouth?
Okay, I'll say this.
I think it's because a lot of people are hesitant. Because you are right, it is dangerous. And it's like, I kind of, like, the reason I got it is because, for one, I actually do believe in the whole, like, protect the community thing. Like, I'm a part of a community. Like, without it, like, I would have to fight for food and shit like that. So I have to rely on my community. So I don't mind getting something, and it even actually kind of feels like ballsy in my mind, where it's just like, dude, like, I don't know if you guys played Halo, but in Halo they put them through like all the procedures and stuff to turn them into the super soldiers, and they sent them like they gave them all the shots and stuff like that, and they see if their like bone density increase and stuff like that. So when I went to go get my vaccine, I had that in my mind where I was just like, holy shit, like this is like a Master Chief moment where I'm like, I'm gonna see if my body can take it, and let me see what happens. Because a lot of the Marines that try out for the Master Chief program, or the kids actually, they die, and only like Master Chief and like a few others make it through. So I had that mentality where like, well, fuck it, let me see it. I've got asthma. It's not gonna make it any worse. It'll actually make it better if it works, and it'll also help my community. And it is scary. Like I was terrified. So I understand the incentives that they're putting out there for people that are like, dude, you got vaccinated. Like it was frightful. You did it. Here's some rewards. Here's some things. And this is actually one thing I don't understand with liberal cities where they're like, we're keeping the mask regulations. I was like, no, losing the mask should be a reward for having gone through that fear and pushed through the barrier. So I respect like what they're doing with the baseball stuff and giving all that stuff away for people that can prove their vaccination.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, about to finish.
I was gonna say the baseball one is obviously less egregious than
the punk
rock one.
I'd agree to that. Yeah.
I'll say that I don't mind the baseball one. It doesn't flare me up. It doesn't irritate me because it just seems like more of an after reward than incentive. Because it's, am I really gonna, for 20% off hot dogs, I'm gonna go get vaccinated?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Not really there. The incentives aren't like really there, even for the show.
It seems like they're trying to make a statement more than anything, in my opinion.
Exactly, like, hey, we're vaccination friendly, so we'll just throw some shit, and then again, vaccinated sections. If you're vaccinated, you don't need a section because you're vaccinated. I just don't get this thing. This is what blows me about all this vaccinated shit. No, why are they trying to stick together?
Exactly. No, I'm right there with you. It makes it completely unnecessary. Like I just said, it seems like you're trying to make a statement more than anything. Like and if the whole goal is to promote vaccines, this is not the right way because what you're doing is you're shunning people. The main, like when I hear this, I hear one people good, one people bad. That should not be the message. Like it's I'm sorry, it's dumb. It's not well thought out. It's short-sighted. It's naive.
That's why I've been lying.
That's why I've been lying. That's why you got that dumb shirt that you did.
Yeah, I got vaccinated.
I think like, okay, I do see that point. So would you think they should just take a nihilistic approach? Just be like, you get it or you didn't. I don't care if you kill your grandmother. I don't give a fuck. If you didn't, I got mine and I survived it. I'm a badass. You do whatever you want.
Maybe
would you prefer that?
Maybe it's fucked up of me, but yeah, because the problem, it seems like you want someone to adopt your moralistic standards.
But you're vaccinated.
Like, I get what you're saying. Like, for example, what you said, you got vaccinated because you want to help out the community because you are part of a community. I get that, and that's great of you. But then for you to then try to impose that level of morality on someone else is when I think you're taking a step too far.
Okay, so let me throw.
So let them suffer the consequences. If they go out in public and they get infected, like they get like John's trying to say, their grandma infected, then hopefully
should be vaccinated.
Let me throw a curveball at you honestly. Then. Do you believe that religions like Christianity should recruit people then? Because they do it under the same guise. No, morally they are trying to save your soul.
My issue, yes, I'm Sammy here. I don't mind them trying to promote the vaccine. My only issue is the way they're doing it is, like I said earlier, it's short-sighted, it's naive, and it's the wrong message. It's an outcast thing, and I have the same opinions about when people go on missions trying to promote their Christianity, their religion. What you're doing is you're not making people feel comfortable and welcomed. You're making them feel ostracized and evil and bad. Like how I live my life is wrong. You don't want to tell someone how they're living their life is wrong. How are you going to recruit them by telling them they're wrong? You're already starting off on a rocky footing, and that is the same thing in this situation. If I'm trying, let's apply your example to this. If I'm trying to recruit you from being an unvaccinated person to a vaccinated person, why am I going to start off by telling you being unvaccinated is wrong and you're a menace to society because you're not helping the community? How is that?
No, but listen. I don't. But listen, Gene. Who are you menacing? If the vaccine is readily available to all, which it is currently, correct? Everybody who is at risk should be vaccinated. correct?
I agree, yeah.
So at this point, the unvaccinated people are only harming themselves.
Yes, I agree with that. Because the
So
people who are more at risk
now
are the
it
ones who got
actually
access
has
to the vaccine
nothing to do
first.
with the community unless you're talking about
Yes.
position.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Oh, you're the engineer of the community and you're risking yourself, so therefore
I'm following.
you're affecting the whole community as a whole.
Okay.
But that is not the point of view.
That's not.
The point of view is you can make the community sick, but you're vaccinated. So if it should be at this point, I can understand if the vaccine wasn't readily available, then there's kind of like nuance to it. But if it's readily available at this point, everybody who should be vaccinated or has opportunity to get the vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't want to get the vaccine, it's more on just you. In my opinion, right now, at this point, is more on you, the individual. And so to keep steering that narrative as far as like it being for the greater community. As far as it being for the greater community, I just don't see that being true anymore.
I don't either. Because it goes back to the example Doc used about the Christian thing. Like, I don't like it when, specifically Christians, but it's all religions talking about do the recruitment. I don't like it when you try to utilize fear to bring someone into your sect. And this is, I would argue, this is the same thing. You're trying to use fear to get people to want to get vaccinated. I don't agree with that. I do not agree with that. That's the wrong way to do it.
Yeah, but
So,
like I said, I'm not.
where do you
I'm not
see
bothered
people
with the
doing
game.
this though? Like
Doing what?
like shaming non-vaccinated people. I guess like the punk rock show is like the first like stint I've seen of this. Because most of the time, what I see, which kind of spooked me,
I
was
just got the most
with
egregious ones. I've seen some of them, but I just got the most egregious ones, which is these two things. But there is shame going on. Like for example, some people, even though they're vaccinated, they still wear their masks because they don't want to be viewed as a conservative. That is that's part of that is shame because they think lesser of conservatives. That's a shaming thing.
No, I think it's dumb. Like I was
it's
saying,
completely
like
dumb,
I feel
but
like
there's
if you
examples
get
of it.
vaccinated, you should be able to take off your mask. Like I see some businesses that are just like scared because they don't want to lose customers, and it's the norm to just wear the mask, so they're holding it out for a little bit longer. But honestly, like if I die in a year because this shit like did some cell fucking like degeneration or some shit, I want to wear my mask. I want to take my mask off for that year, bro. Like, so that's when I got it. I was just like, well, that should at least be my fucking reward. And it's weird that like some liberal cities, like I don't mind living in a liberal city. I just think it's weird that they want to hold on to their leash, and they should take that off, especially if they're the most accepting of the virus, the vaccine.
All right, last point. Let's change
This is like Lyft and Uber drivers who are vaccinated.
The things I've been
picking
seeing
up
is like
vaccinated.
it's more propagandic, where it's just like do your part for your community and stuff like that. And it kind of spooked me because I don't know, like I went to class a lot and learned about propaganda, so seeing it, I'm just like, holy fuck, that looks crazy. But
yeah, I would agree.
but I feel like it's actually what you're. I don't know, like the right way to do it. Like I've never seen anybody be vaccine shamed or non-vaccine shamed in public or anything like that. So
I mean, not to attack you, but you do live in Austin, a very liberal, heavy city. So the odds of you coming across someone getting shamed are low because someone who's going to be anti-vax there, or at least anti this particular vaccine, is incredibly low.
I don't think it's a shaming of like a public shaming. I think it's happening like
fair.
I see it at
Okay,
work.
good point. That's a good
like
point.
I see it in
That's
small doses at work. Like the people who got vaccinated. Oh, have you got vaccinated?
Well, even in like
No.
conservative
Why?
places, like I've gone to Mathis and stuff like that, and I've visited other places in Texas that are super conservative, and I feel like I'm the only one in the room with an overshield, and I'm just like, I don't care, man. You guys do whatever you want. I'm good.
Yeah, I mean,
because you're not like that
that's
too.
you.
Like,
But
yeah,
I'm saying like there are people like there's random people. I'm not saying it's everybody. I'm just saying I don't think it's a public thing. I just think it's a sentiment that's shared between. You know what I'm saying? Like there's somebody at my job who, oh, you getting a vaccine? You got vaccinated? Oh, why not? Oh, you know, it's actually supposed to. And then they'll start trying to
sell you
the vaccine.
Yeah,
and that's why when he made the point about religion, I was like, oh.
That's
Okay,
a good point.
that's a really good point.
It was a good point.
But I also do feel the same way about religion.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I was like, dude, my opinion still
right
stands.
there. Like, I'm right there with you. Like, I do not.
Before we change subjects, I want to preface, like, I have nothing against the vaccine. If you want to get vaccinated, go for it. My issue only is with the negative messaging out there and the force feeding of it. Like, I don't agree with forcing a populace to do something that they don't want to do. If they don't want to do it, they don't want to do it. Whether it's good for the community or bad for the community, we really don't know yet.
I have a problem with anybody putting their opinion over anybody else's opinion.
Yeah.
That's literally, I'm very consistent about that. And
so I did see like this special where they had a counselor that was trying to essentially coerce like strict conservatives to get the vaccine. It was an interesting special. And the only argument he said that I was like, that one might hit, because you could see it in their face where they were like, okay, I'm going to think about that one. And the only argument the only argument I heard him say was something about like personal responsibility. Like he asked them, he's like, so you would say that conservatives believe in personal responsibility, right? And he's like, so that's why you want to come to the decision yourself to get the vaccination and stuff like that. He's like, so do you not feel personally responsible for those around you, as opposed to just yourself for doing that? And that's like the only argument I remember seeing the guy kind of wince at and be like, okay,
a conservative,
a real
conservative
you have
would
to
say
think about
no.
like his family and stuff like that.
A real conservative would say no.
That's the only implication I've ever seen.
It's individual responsibility. They're about individual responsibility.
Exactly. And then also on that point,
that's the
like we
only
said,
like
who's around me that's
video
not
I've ever
vaccinated?
seen of people shamed outside of some kind of like passporting stuff like that. But
So they're talking
the
about
one thing that I really, really want to know is when businesses go back to offices, though, will you need a passport? That's where I feel the shame's going to happen. Where it's going to be like you can't come in, you can't come in. We need you. Sorry, CEO said everyone has to be back in the office. If you can't come into the office,
but
tough
who
luck,
are you risking?
find another job.
This is my question. Who are you risking?
You're
when
vaccinated.
When they say, hey, personal responsibility for your whoever, who? Another unvaccinated person who chose not to get vaccinated? I'm not responsible.
They're still taking personal responsibility. Like, I'm not getting vaccinated. I understand the risk, and I'm still doing this. That is them taking personal responsibility.
Now, if we see somebody who get vaccinated,
see, I think though this is where the scuffle's going to happen though, because corporations have a lot of power in the United States. So even though the government's saying one thing, the corporation can be like, I don't care, dude. We're going to fire you if you don't come in without a passport.
Facts.
And that's going to be
an issue. That's
an issue, in the future. Where like this punk rock show is going to look like a fucking bitch compared to when Amazon does that shit.
Yep, I completely agree. Hey, thanks for watching a clip of Fake Deep Thinking. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe, like the clip, leave a comment, and check out our page for more content. Full episodes of Fake Deep Thinking are released every Friday on Podbean, iTunes, and Spotify. Peace.